Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the US 377 virtual public hearing. We appreciate your interest in the US 377 project and welcome each of you. Please note you may pause this presentation at any point to allow more time to view the slides. Given the unique circumstance of the COVID-19 outbreak, along with our commitment to protecting public health during this national emergency, TxDOT is conducting this virtual public hearing to minimize in-person contact. This presentation covers the same information the Dallas District would have shared at an in-person public hearing. Details on how to submit a comment and have your questions addressed will be covered later on in this presentation. All project information can be found on the TxDOT website. The virtual public hearing has been convened by the Texas Department of Transportation and is being held to receive and consider comments from the public regarding the US 377 project. You may have attended previous public hearings conducted by the Texas Department of Transportation. However, for the benefit of those of you who have never attended one, I would like to explain why and how the department conducts a public hearing. A public hearing has four essential purposes. 1. Inform the public of the status of planning for the project and present the recommendations based on studies performed to date. 2. Describe the project so those attending can determine the project's potential to affect their lives and property. 3. Provide the public an opportunity to see information and express their views at this stage in the planning process when flexibility to respond to comments still exists and before location and design decisions are finalized. 4. And finally, to develop a record of public views and participation to accompany recommendations for subsequent decisions. The virtual public hearing is being held in compliance with both federal and state laws. A transcript of this hearing will be made available for the official record. Following the virtual public hearing, the department will proceed with the preparation of the final environmental documentation. Your statements and comments will be addressed in this document and will be given full consideration in the preparation of the final recommendation and design for the US 377 project. Comments will be accepted in a number of ways. You may fill out a comment online, submit a written comment via email to nelson.underwood@txdot.gov, submit a written comment via mail to TxDOT Dallas District Office, attention Nelson Underwood, PE, 4777 East Highway 80, Mesquite, Texas, 75150, or leave a verbal comment via voicemail at 469-333-0439. There is a link for a PDF comment form that can be filled out on the computer and emailed to the address provided, or printed, filled out by hand, and then mailed to the address provided. Comments must be received or postmarked by December 4th, 2020 to be part of the official virtual public hearing record. Questions on this project may be directed to the TxDOT project manager, Nelson Underwood, PE, at nelson.underwood@txdot.gov. I will now explain the design aspects of the US 377 project. The design schematic and environmental documentation for the US 377 project may be viewed at www.keepitmovingdallas.com under Public Hearings/Meetings, at www.TxDOT.gov by searching Hearings and Meeting Schedule, or on www.keepitmovingdallas.com/US377. The information on these websites is the same information being presented in this speech. TxDOT is proposing to widen an approximate 13.7 mile long section of US 377 in Denton County. The proposed project is needed because the existing US 377 within the project limits fails to meet current safety design standards and is inadequate to meet current and future traffic volumes resulting from population growth. The purpose of the proposed project is to reduce traffic congestion on the existing roadways, to improve operations of the roadway, to increase mobility, including pedestrian and bicycle accommodations, and to provide improved connectivity to the area. The existing US 377 facility from US 380 to Business 377 East in Denton County, Texas, mainly consists of a rural 2-lane roadway with 12-foot driving lanes and 10-foot shoulders. The roadway consists of a rural 2-lane roadway with a continuous 2-way left turn lane in Pilot Point, Texas, from Business 377 North to FM 455 East, and in Aubrey, Krugerville, Texas, from FM 428 to Sherry Lane Industrial Park. The sections of 2-way left turn lanes consist of 12-foot driving lanes, a 14-foot continuous 2-way left turn lane, and 4-foot shoulders. Existing right-of-way width varies, but the typical right-of-way throughout the corridor is 120 feet. Along US 377 from Business 377 South to FM 3524, Union Pacific Railroad runs parallel to the roadway on the west side of the facility. Along this section of roadway, there are 4 at-grade railroad crossings: FM 455 East, St. John Road, Ballou Road, and a private driveway. There are ditches along both sides of the roadway that provide surface drainage, as well as culvert crossings along the existing roadway at multiple locations. Stormwater runoff within the limits is conveyed through an open ditch drainage system. The facility is intersected by 7 major collectors, including Business 377 North, Business 377 South, FM 455, FM 3524, FM 428, FM 424, US 380, and other minor collectors and local roads. The proposed project consists of the reconstruction and widening of US 377 to include the expansion of the current 2-lane rural roadway to a 6-lane urban roadway with a raised median to provide additional capacity and improve safety. Improvements would consist of 12-foot wide travel lanes, 14-foot wide outside shared use lanes, and 5-foot sidewalks with Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, curb ramps in both directions through most of the project. Proposed drainage would be conveyed by curb and gutter, a storm sewer system, and crossing culverts. Other improvements would include realigning the intersections of Business 377 South at US 377 and FM 424 at US 377. The right-of-way width would change to consistently be 140 feet throughout the proposed project. Utility adjustments and relocations throughout the corridor would be required prior to construction. The adjustments and relocation of any utilities would be managed so that no substantial interruptions would occur. The US 377 project is anticipated to be ready to let by spring 2024 and will take approximately 3 years to construct. Letting is when TxDOT notifies the construction community that a project is ready to be bid on. Construction on a project begins after the letting process is complete. The total estimated cost for the entire project is approximately $154.9 million. The project is currently unfunded and cannot let until funding is identified. This concludes the project information and design portion of the presentation. The next few slides will provide an overview of the environmental evaluation of the proposed US 377 project. Prior to December 16, 2014, the Federal Highway Administration, or FHWA, reviewed and approved documents prepared under the National Environmental Policy Act known as NEPA. However, on December 16, 2014, the Texas Department of Transportation assumed responsibility from FHWA through a Memorandum of Understanding to review and approve certain assigned NEPA environmental documents. This Memorandum of Understanding between TxDOT and FHWA was updated on December 9, 2019. The review and approval process applies to this project. Environmental studies were conducted for the proposed US 377 project to support an environmental clearance in accordance with NEPA. These environmental analyses are necessary to identify, avoid, and minimize effects to the human and natural environments. Technical environmental documentation and the draft environmental assessment, or EA, was approved for further processing by TxDOT and was coordinated with other public agencies. Notices for this public hearing were advertised in the Dallas Morning News, Al Dia, and Denton Record Chronicle on the TxDOT.gov website under Hearings and Meetings Schedule and on keepitmovingdallas.com under Public Hearings and Meetings. The TxDOT Public Information Office also prepared a news media release to advertise the public hearing. The TxDOT technical reports and draft EA are available at TxDOT Denton County Area Office and online at www.keepitmovingdallas.com/US377 and TxDOT.gov. The technical documentation for this project addresses the potential environmental impacts identified during the preliminary engineering of the proposed project. These areas of potential impacts included natural, social, and cultural resources. This slide shows a list of all resources that were evaluated during the environmental analysis. The following slides include a summary of those findings. A total of approximately 54.7 acres of new right-of-way and 1.1 acres of permanent drainage easements would be required to complete the proposed improvements. Right-of-way would be acquired from properties along both the east and west side of the project. Potentially, 2 residential and 6 non-residential structures would be displaced. All right-of-way acquisition would be completed in accordance with the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. Brochures titled The Purchase of Right-of-Way and Relocation Assistance are available on our website at Keep It Moving Dallas. These materials contain detailed information to inform you of your rights and provide information about the TxDOT right-of-way acquisition process. TxDOT historians evaluated 40 historic age structures constructed prior to 1975 and found that they did not meet eligibility criteria for listing on the National Register of Historic Places. An intensive archaeological study concluded that the project will have no effect on archaeological historic properties. No further work is recommended at this time. A majority of the project area is outside FEMA-designated 100-year flood hazard areas. The flood hazard areas are associated with 4 tributaries to Pecan Creek. The hydraulic design for this project would be in accordance with current TxDOT policies. The proposed project would result in the permanent fill of less than 0.1 acre in each of the 18 streams associated with waters of the U.S. Regulated activities would be authorized under a Clean Water Act, Section 404 Nationwide Permit 14. No pre-construction notification to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is required. Compensation would be required. 9 sites were determined to be a moderate environmental risk to the proposed project. Right-of-way acquisition is proposed from 5 of the sites. Any unanticipated hazardous material impacts encountered during project construction and the site already discovered shall be addressed in accordance with regulatory requirements and TxDOT standard specifications. A traffic noise analysis was conducted in accordance with TxDOT's FHWA-approved 2011 guidelines for analysis and abatement of roadway traffic noise. Based on the analysis, 13 receptors are expected to be impacted by noise. Noise abatement options were considered for these receptors in accordance with TxDOT and FHWA criteria. It was determined that noise barriers would not be feasible and reasonable for the 13 impacted receivers, and therefore are not proposed for incorporation into the project. Based on the studies thus far, the environmental investigations indicate that the proposed project would have no significant impacts on the quality of the human environment. Revisions may be made to the environmental documents to either update them or address the needs of the state and federal agencies. Revisions may also result from considerations of public comments received during the comment period. After all necessary revisions are provided, an environmental assessment determination is anticipated for this project. The public comment period for the proposed project ends December 4th, 2020. Following this virtual public hearing, documentation of this public hearing will be reviewed by TxDOT for final environmental clearance and design approval. If there are no major issues arising from this hearing that cannot be addressed in a reasonable timeframe, final environmental clearance is expected by early 2021. The project has an anticipated ready-to-let date of spring 2024. This concludes the environmental evaluation portion of the presentation. As mentioned earlier, comments will be accepted in 4 ways, which are outlined on this slide. All comments will be fully considered and responded to in the project record and made part of the final environmental document for this proposed project. This document will then be made available for public review online at www.keepitmovingdallas.com under upcoming public hearing/meeting and www.TxDOT.gov by searching hearings and meetings schedule. All of your statements, comments, and questions will be given careful consideration before final design features are determined. Additionally, all information developed for the proposed design is available for public inspection and copying at www.keepitmovingdallas.com under upcoming public hearing/meeting or on www.TxDOT.gov by searching hearings and meetings schedule. As a reminder, all comments must be received or postmarked by December 4th, 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, we sincerely appreciate your attendance and interest concerning the proposed design of the US 377 project. Your questions, comments, and concerns will receive careful consideration. Thank you. This concludes the formal presentation. We are now adjourned.